Hello and welcome along to the newest show here on the Clare FM schedule. It is Sideline View Review with me, Derek Lynch. Each Monday we will be on air from 6 o'clock to look back on the weekend's local sporting action, hearing from all those involved, along with getting analysis on the big stories and moments and lots more too. So we hope you keep it tuned here over the course of the next hour or so. Coming up on the first of these shows, we reflect on Clare's National Football League win over Limerick. The hurlers return to Division 1A of the National Hurling League. Clare's camogie side continue their unbeaten run, while the ladies footballers make it back-to-back wins to move clear of the relegation battle in Division 3 of the league. We also round up a busy weekend of handball action and look back on what happened in local soccer as well. Now, our first visit of this Monday night review show is to go to Rathkeale and talk to Kieran Madigan about events that happened in Rathkeale. I'd say he's home from there now, but the head might still be there in terms of reviewing and analysing the game. Kieran, a very, very impressive scoreline for Clare, a very, very impressive defensive effort from Clare. Third victory in a row. It's been quite some time, I think, since that happened in the National League for Clare. All in all, extremely positive.
Yeah, very, very positive, Derek. This middle block has been very good. Three wins out of three. You know, it's all you could ask for after a tough start to the campaign with two defeats early against, I suppose, everyone's promotion favourites. So we've done our job. We've gone away and worked on what we had to work on. And you know, while the performance in Limerick was absolutely excellent, you'd have to commend the defence because, you know, obviously we had been saying in recent times that we've probably been conceding too much. We knew our forwards were putting up the scores, but defensively, I think this is where this result was built on, because, you know, they put serious pressure on the Limerick shooters. They weren't giving away any scoreable frees. The frees that they were getting were 2 points territory, and you know, I just thought it was Ronan Lanigan leading the line there from full back, and Conor Meany I thought had an excellent display as well at centre back. And you know, look, we know we have a serious inside three, and look, we hit the 24-point mark again, which is very, very consistent. We started the first two games putting 20 points on the board, and the next three we've hit 24. So look at it's positive stuff. It's exciting football to watch. And you know, hopefully we'll get a few more supporters on the bandwagon, because I think this team deserve it.
Take us through a flavour of the game then, because for anybody that was keeping an eye on it, like we were up in Dr. Cullen Park, and it was the Score Bio app was our saviour to keep an eye on Rathkeale. It seemed like that early Cillian Fahey goal almost angered Clare to a large extent, because at half time you were saying this is a team well in control.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose we started off, we got a good bit of possession early on, and we probably created maybe three chances in the first 4 minutes, and uncharacteristically we didn't take any of them. Aaron Griffin had an effort for a point that just dropped short into the keeper's hands, and Mark McInerney displayed an unbelievable piece of skill. He took on about 4 Limerick defenders through 2 dummy solos, and his shot again just dropped short into the keeper's hands as well. And there was a goal chance for Dermot Coughlin as well, and we hadn't the shooting boots on early, and once Limerick got that goal, and it kind of came, I suppose, a little bit against the run of play, and it looked like we'd actually turned over the ball. Ickham got a hand in and the attack, and the ball broke to their midfielder Tommy Childs, and Killian Brennan looked like he was just about to get a tackle in, and his hand was pulled back actually. But look, we're not going to complain because we won the game. But Cillian Fahey finished the ball very, very well to the net, and I think it was the shot in the arm that Clare needed, because after that we were just outstanding for the next maybe 20 minutes. I think we was 1-8 without reply. And the goal I think Brendy had an effort for. He got put through on goal, and he put it over the bar, but he was very involved in the goal that we got. He won a turnover and got fouled, and we got a free. And the move, if you get to see the goal was fantastic. Brian Mack was involved in it. Dermot Coughlin cut through the middle and drew the man and passed it across the square, and Mark McInerney was there to finish it to the back of the net. And you know, we kicked on from there. Mark McInerney, who passed a fitness test to play this game, and you know, we were all worried about him last week after that injury he picked up against Laois. He was seriously on form here. He kicked a superb 2-pointer and a single point after that. And you know, then Owen Cleary decided to join the action. You know, he hadn't seen a huge amount of ball, and he he kicked 2 points before halftime as well. And one of our most consistent scorers over the last couple of league campaigns, Alan Sweeney, decided to get involved as well and came up and got a point as well before halftime. And it was a 20-minute display that was as good as you would have ever seen from a Clare football team. It's just, they were ruthless. The tackling at the back, the turnovers they were winning, the likes of Ronan Lanigan, Ickham, Alan Sweeney. It was great stuff. Brian Mack was driving forward from midfield, and Killian Brennan was doing a very, very good job there as well. We were pretty flawless on our own kickouts. I think we were I think we only lost 2 kickouts all day. I think we like 88% on our own kickouts, which was excellent stuff. And we finished the half very, very strong. And really and truly, we just had to kind of weather the early storm at the start of the second half. But it was us that came out, and we kicked the first 3 points of the second half, and that showed that our heads were in the right place. And it was just a very, very professional performance, and big performances from players like Dermot Coughlin carrying on the form that he's been playing. He's a real playmaker in this team, and most of the scores that we get, he has an involvement in somewhere along the line. He mightn't have been overly happy with his own shooting on the day, but that'll come. Dermot's well able to take scores, and as I said, that will come. But look, when you've got an inside two like Mark McInerney, and Cleary contributing 115 between them, they'd be the envy of any team in Ireland, I would say. And Aaron Griffin normally is well in the scoring act as well. Didn't score on this occasion, but he's come up with big scores for us in the previous games. And then you've lads like Cormac Murray coming in off the bench, and he's trying to get a jersey on the starting team as well. And he came in and he kicked a point as well. So they never let the intensity down. They kept going, and everyone that came on was pushing to make an impression, because they all want to get on this team. And you look around and you've got players there that you've got Emmett McMahon there on the sideline, and Killian Ryan and Dara Bohannon and Quillan O'Dea, and these are all players that you'll be hoping that will be back in the frame sooner or later, featuring and looking to be getting a starting jersey themselves. So anyone that has a number 1 to 15 jersey at the moment is fighting like hell to hold on to it, and that's what we want to see.
And there's a couple of things about what you said there. The 3 points after half time, that's something that Paul Madden, when he was speaking to Sil after the game, referenced, that he felt Clare's third quarters in games had kind of hurt them at times, and he seemed almost as pleased with that particular period as any other period in the game. But also, talking to Paul Madden in his time over at Rogan, he'd often look back at you with this look of kind of, well, what else do you expect when you praise their work rate? And it would appear that maybe the reason for the solid defensive display was that perhaps from the opposition 45 there was a real pressure being put on, which ultimately would alleviate it by the time the ball got as far as the Clare 21.
Yeah, our work rate is huge, and you would have expected that from any Paul Madden team. And I think it was the pace of our play definitely surprised Limerick, because when Limerick were quite successful on their own kickouts. I think they were like around 70% on their own kickouts. They did quite well there, but once they got to halfway, their play was a bit laboured and over and back across the field, and our defenders were really aggressive in their pushing and pressing, and just putting pressure on them the whole time, and they never gave them any easy options to take shots. And we said about that. Yeah, you rightly said there about our third quarter hadn't been good in some of the earlier games, and this was our best third quarter display for sure. And it's obviously something we've looked at and targeted it, because obviously when you've got a big lead at halftime, it's very easy to take the foot off the gas at the start of the second half and get caught for a couple of early scores. And that's why we pushed on and we kicked those 3 early points, and the game was really put to bed, and it was just a case of seeing it out after that. But that's the thing about this team. We do finish games very, very strong. And to be honest, looking at the displays in all the games so far, I think no team we've played yet have been fitter than us. I think our conditioning is superb, and that's great credit to the work that's gone in since this management have taken over. And look at defensively, if we can be as solid as that, and obviously you're going to need to improve a little bit more as well, because the quality of opposition will go up as the year goes on. But things are definitely going in the right direction, because this is a Limerick team that you couldn't have taken for granted going into it. But nobody, if everyone was offered a 1 point win going down, you would have gladly taken it. It's just, and we were saying they were the only team that had given a serious battle to Down. They only lost by a point to Down. So they were hoping to be in the promotion mix. So no one would have expected us to win the game in the manner that we did. But once you get on top of a team like that, and you had to start thinking that score difference could come into this. So you had to keep the intensity up and push it all the way to the line and try and close that gap with the scoring difference. And look, with Laois winning the way they did, it flipped the script with, in regards to the league table. I don't know if scoring difference will have a factor in the end of it, but at the moment we're in a good position in that line as well.
I'm mentioning scoring difference. We were -10 after the first 2 games. That's now +8. That's an 18-point swing over the course of 3 games. That's serious moving.
It is, yeah, and like the scores we've been putting up, obviously you're setting a target, and it has been mentioned that we've a target. I think it's 25 points, but we've been getting very, very close to it every day, like 3 games in a row at 24. And look, everyone have been saying we have been conceding too much, but there were certainly encouraging signs against Limerick that we're tightening up in that area. And if you tighten up in that area, we know that we've got the forwards that'll put up the scores. And I don't know if scoring difference will have a factor in the end of this, but you just don't know. And you have to do your job and put the scores there, because if it comes down to that, we hope it doesn't come to head, but we have a big game coming up against Wexford, so we can't be getting kind of too far ahead of ourselves, I suppose. But as it stands in the table now, Wexford are ahead of us a little bit on score difference, but they're coming to Cusack Park next, so hopefully we can do something about that.
It's an intriguing finish to the campaign. Like you can say now, Fermanagh probably are gone through the trapdoor. Down are looking on for promotion. I think they're nearly all but guaranteed that. But then everywhere else, it's still fairly tidy. Okay, Clare are gone out of the relegation mix, thankfully. But like Clare, as you say, play Wexford. Then we go to Sligo on the last day up to Markovich Park, and then Westmeath, who are the team we're probably looking at, hoping that they'll drop a couple of points. They host a Limerick team who will respond. We know that it'll be in their Cusack Park in Mullingar, though, and then they go to Wexford, who will still be hanging on and hoping that they might be in a promotion mix on the very last day. So like even geographically this is set up for fair drama. They're below in the southeast, we're above in the northwest of the country, and everybody will be keeping an eye on each other. It just sets it up brilliantly.
Yeah, looking at the fixtures, like the last round of games, you'd imagine that there's going to be something on the line in nearly every game, because look at the next game. You've got Limerick going to Westmeath, but to me that's the game that's going to define where Limerick play next season, because their last game is at home to Fermanagh, but it could be they could be relying on other results if they don't get something out of Westmeath. They're sitting on 3 points at the moment. Sligo are ahead of them on 4. Even if Sligo lose their next game, unless Limerick takes something out of Westmeath, they'll be relying on Sligo slipping up against us. So, I would imagine that Limerick will go to Westmeath with all guns blazing. They're definitely a better team than they were made to look the other night against Clare. They've shown that in the performances they've given so far. And you'll be hoping that they might be in the kind of form that might try and help us out as well. But I'm sure they're only going to be looking after themselves. And if that takes care of us as well, all the better. But yeah, it's set up if we can do our job against Wexford, and that's going to be a tough battle, because Wexford are the surprise packet in this division. No one expected them to be up at the top end of the table. They were actually the favourites for relegation. So there's huge credit due to them to be coming into the game against us with 3 wins out of 5, and they are a little bit of an unknown. But it's all going to go down to the final round of games. And look, wouldn't it be great to be going into that last round still having a chance of promotion, because we know what that's been like the last few years. It hasn't gone our way, but to take it into the final game, you don't want a dead rubber in the last game if you can help it. And look, we're obviously starting to look at things differently, because a couple of weeks ago we were hoping just to avoid relegation, but now that we've taken care of that, we might be getting a little bit greedy, but we're looking up towards the other end of the table now. And promotion it's not an impossible task.
Yeah, no, certainly not. But of course, it all starts with that game against Wexford in a couple of weeks' time, which we will look forward to closer to that. But for now, Kieran, thanks for joining us. We can hear from the Clare camp now, and firstly, the manager, Paul Madden. He's been speaking with Sil O'Connor after that win in Rathkeale.
Like, we were 1-3 to a point down after 12 minutes, and we were off frustrated because, you know, we had done the hard work to turn over the ball, and then we gifted it back to him for the goal. And their 2-point kicker, he's very good now, in fairness to him. But we hadn't started moving our legs, you know, we just hadn't started moving our legs. But once we found a bit of rhythm and we started our second wind, I suppose, really, maybe that's what you want to call it, you know, we tore down through them. And like, we have huge energy levels in the team, and I thought we were full value for our lead at half time. But we said a 5-point lead probably wasn't reflective of our play in the first half, and then we needed to really win the third quarter because, you know, I won't use expletives on the radio, but our third quarters haven't been good, and we came out and we won the third quarter, and I thought we set a marker. We dropped off a bit after that, which we'd be disappointed with, or we would be disappointed with as a group. But overall, you know, the positives will outweigh the negatives today. Because
Absolutely.
I think there was a challenge set to us, and we set it ourselves about our defensive, because, you know, we shook a bit of criticism for our defence, which was merited. We were getting good scores, we were conceding big scores. But I thought today they found it hard to get scores today.
Talk about that first half. Again, I'll use two words. They were chalk and cheese for maybe 10 minutes on. I mean, Limerick led 1-3 to a point. Half-time score was 1-11 to 1-5.
Yeah.
It was a huge...
I think it only 1 point from play for the first 46 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, look, we knew it. We said it to the team, and not just the defenders, but the team. We said, like, you need to have a bit of pride in yourselves now. Like, our defensive shape, our work rate just hasn't been good enough to concede those big scores. But we've been fortunate that we've had lads that were able to put the ball over the bar at the other end. But today I thought we got to balance a bit better. We still scored 24 points, but we conceded less.
Absolutely. The best way to get perfection is practice. There must be a lot of it going on, especially with the interchange of the players. You know, I was so impressive this evening. A player coming on, selling the dummy run, it stood out a mile this evening.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's still a lot of imperfections there, and I'm not going to suggest for a minute that we're perfect, but we're trying our best, we're trying hard. The lads are working awful hard. Attitude is key to everything, and in fairness, the lads have a great attitude, and we're all working hard. Everyone's working hard, so no, we're happy with that.
What are your thoughts for the remaining two games, you know, Wexford and Sligo?
Well, my first thoughts is that we're going to be challenged by Sligo or Wexford in 2 weeks' time, and we won't look beyond them. We think we've an opportunity now to get as many good performances in as we can, and that'll be starting with Wexford in 2 weeks' time. And
players getting opportunities, improving as you go along, players coming on there again this evening.
And there's lads who didn't come on this evening still, to be fair, and lads who didn't even make the 26 that are challenging hard at training, and we're not afraid to use them. And I know we upset lads when they don't get games, but, you know, we want lads under pressure. Just because you have the jersey, it's up to you to hold on to it.
Clare manager Paul Madden there speaking to Clare FM's Sil O'Connor. Clare's top scorer on the evening was Mark McInerney. He accounted for 1/8 of Clare's total, and he spoke with Joe Gary.
Look, we're delighted with that. That was probably our best performance of the year. We've kind of let ourselves down in third quarters in every game, and we said that in half time. Look, if we can put in a big third quarter here, we'll finish the game, and that's what happened. So,
and when you're kicking up that mid-20 mark, you know, which is the target, I suppose, for everybody at the moment, it just shows the forwards not only are playing good football, but they're enjoying their football as well.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't know, sometimes they don't work for you, sometimes they do, and look, to be scoring 121 I think, and then 24, 218, whatever we had, it was great shooting, like, so. But we still left some behind ourselves, so still loads of work.
And a National Football League that's still far from done and dusted. Big win for Laois tonight over Westmeath. So Clare very much still in the hunt, and a big game now in 2 weeks' time against Wexford.
Yeah, look, that's we knew Laois should put it up to him, you know, but look, we just got to focus on our own games now. We've got Wexford next week and Sligo to finish out, like, so we need to get over those two games, and then we'll have a look at the standings at the end then.
Mark McInerney there speaking with Joe Gary after Clare's win over Limerick in Rathkeale. We are back shortly here on Sideline View Review. To look back not just on Netwatch Cullen Park, but indeed all the other venues and the home games that we've seen, as well as Clare's 5 from 5 in the National Hurling League leaves them promoted back to Division 1A with the 1B final to come, and Wexford coming needing the points in Zimmer at Park Kisog on Sunday. And Tommy, a real sense talking to Brian Lohan after the game that they wanted to go after this, they wanted to get it done, they wanted the minimum fuss, all while building both momentum and depth, and they seem to have done that.
They have, yeah. They've done it, fairly comfortably. I suppose the real sticky game was the first one against Dublin, where in the first half we just looked off the pace. But I think, in fairness, once they picked it up in the second half, they went on to score a good win over a good Dublin team, and from then on, I suppose, look at the way the fixtures fell. We had Down at home, and then we had three games on the road. So the probability was that we were going to win those, that Down game and the 3 on the road, which would put us into a good position, for getting promoted, number 1, and getting to the league final, number 2. So I would say that the management, would be very happy with the campaign to date. It has they have built a winning momentum, which this time last year wasn't there, and no long-term injuries. I think we have a couple of injuries. I suppose we haven't seen a whole lot of Adam Hogan or Peter Duggan for whatever reason. But then, I think the introduction of the new players has been, a real energizer, particularly for the older players. And, with those players, Dylan McMahon, Niall O'Farrell, Jamie Moylan, Diarmuid Stritch, Senan Dunford, Jack Kerwin, have all come in and, acquitted themselves very well. But, each day they went out, they've been backed up by the experienced players, Ever Quilligan, Conor Cleary, Diarmuid Ryan, Cathal Malone, Tony Kelly, Ryan Taylor, Mark Rogers. So they've got a nice blend. It's now finding the best 15 going forward for the Munster Championship. And I won't say it's a headache, but it raises questions about your 15 and indeed your 20 and 21 going forward. So a nice position for the management to be in. Yeah,
we have seen all those highways and byways together in the Clare FM car, Tommy, the last couple of weeks, and we've been debating and talking and trying to pick a 15, and there doesn't seem to be a definitive one. And as you say, and I wonder, are we going to see a definitive 15 before the Waterford game, or is it now a situation where it'll be an A versus B maybe a week out, or a challenge game, or warm weather training camp we're hearing is on the cards as well, perhaps? Whether that goes ahead or not quite sure. But is it going to be kept under wraps, do you think, until that April 19th date?
I would expect that the team would be taking shape for a league final if we get there. With the Wexford result, depending on that goes, I would imagine that, they probably would be looking at maybe 11, 12, and then, either or, because, the championship is only around the corner. So, and again, we haven't seen Shane O'Donnell, but we know that he can do that, come back without any great, game time. But, it's, they've managed it well, I think, by giving the younger guys their heads. But then again, you have a middle group there of, Jack O'Neill, Eamon Foodie, Keane Galvin, Rory Hayes, Shane Meehan, that have been on the panel for a year or two, that have, I believe, have pushed, a couple of steps up the ladder, and, will be challenging for championship places. So, yeah, it is, I suppose, it's a nice headache to have, but I believe that the management probably have maybe the 12 in their head that's going to go out against Waterford, and then it's wait and see.
And from a style of play perspective, I suppose it's probably always been Brian's way in a lot of ways. Go direct as possible, get the ball to the inside line. That's where the scores are going to come from. But we're seeing a good variation on that. They've been very direct the other night. Shane Meehan's goal came out of it. But it's very much a ping to the corners, have a runner through the middle, or else take on your man on the outside and burn him. But it's all about heads up hurling in that middle third, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And, when you've, the half back line particularly, I think, will be key going forward, because if a half-back line is on top, and when you have the likes of Cathal Malone, Diarmuid Ryan, John Conlon, David McInerney, they have that ability to cut out, the opposition half-back line and get quality ball, into those inside forwards, whoever will be in there, so that is a big plus. And I suppose they've been able to develop that, throughout the Division 1B campaign. I suppose for me, I suppose we want to cut down on the free count. A lot of the opposition scores, kept them in games for long periods with the concession of frees. But I think, with the upping the pace of the game and all that, I think, that will work itself out going forward for the championship. But, I think going into the Munster Championship, fresher will be better. When you look at Division 1A, it was, cutthroat. Some of it shadow boxing, some of it, laying down markers. I think Clare have, stayed away from that spotlight, and come in. I won't say under the radar, but, doing their own thing. And I think Dublin will probably, and Wexford will probably feel the same. So, while 1B was disappointing to drop down to, it also served its positive purposes as well.
Certainly did. We'll talk about Wexford closer to the weekend, but just to get your view, Tommy, on one item that slipped under the radar a little bit, I think, at Congress. There was lots of talking points out of it, obviously, but the descent rules from the FRC was their genesis. They've now been transferred over to the game of hurling, which means that whether it's a player or a manager that makes his feelings known in a vociferous way, a ball can now be moved forward 30 metres for a free. And I suppose, given the Diarmuid Burdens and Diarmuid Ryans of the world, that's a score. Like, that's giving, that could be inside in the cornerback position, come up 30 yards, that's a score. What do you make of it?
Yeah, look, I suppose they're trying to stamp out that and probably show and give more respect to the officials. But yeah, it is a big penalty. It is a big penalty, particularly in championship where there'll be a dry ball. The wind mightn't be a factor. So I suppose it's the football. I suppose the football thing has sharpened up a lot of players and management for descent, and I think it was felt probably that the hurling needed to be the same, probably not the same yardage originally as was in the football, but 30 metres is. It could be the difference between winning and losing with a last-minute free. So, yes, it did come in. I didn't see it in the preview anywhere of the Congress. It came in, and I suppose it's hard to work against it. But, again, I suppose, look, as long as we don't have to hand the sliotar back to the player like the footballers have to football back, we won't be too bad.
Yeah, I don't think that'll go down overly well. From what I'm reading today, I think it's coming in actually for the league finals is the first day that it's going to be actually implemented. So that'll be one to watch out for. As long as it doesn't come up as far as the commentary box, Tommy, we can still give out away, I suppose.
Well, we can probably analyse and ask questions. That would be the way I would put it. Yeah, look, the referees are under a lot of pressure nowadays. Particularly in hurling, the game moves so fast. And again, probably the main topic for the National Hurling League this year was the black card and the penalty. Now that remains to be seen how that will continue. The descent. Look, at the descent was always, I don't know, was it 10 or 15 metres, but depending on the referee, it could end up at 20 or 25. So look at it's there now, it's official. So whether they'll be getting out the measuring tape to measure it, maybe that the shaving foam might be out now for the fitter. So we wouldn't be following other games in the hurling anyway, would we?
No, absolutely not. Tommy, thanks for that. Well, after that game in Carlow, I got to speak with Mark Rogers. But first, Clare boss Brian Lohan.
It was the aim to get back up as quick as we possibly could. I suppose we would have been favoured from the start of the year to go back up. But, we did our job professionally. We went to our away games, won the away games, and have the big game next weekend against Wexford to look forward to.
You mentioned a word there going about it professionally, like you've gone after this. People are wondering, what kind of teams will be put out and all the rest of it. You went out to win every game and win it good.
Oh yeah, look, that's what you have to do. We've got a great ambition in the group, and a good bit of hurt there from last year as well. So a fantastic group of players to be involved with. They wanted to get back up. They wanted to get back up straight away, and they've done their business brilliantly. Conscious as well that we've got great support as well, whether it be here in Carlow or last week in Kildare or even above in Antrim and at home in Ennis, that we've got brilliant support, we want to win every game.
And there's a sense in some of these performances that it's almost therapeutic in getting rid of the memories of last year maybe and just blowing that aside.
Yeah, there's in intercounty hurling, like everyone has their reputation, and our reputation took a bit of a hit last year, we wanted to respond to that, and we've responded so far. But look, it's only February. I know it's the last day in February, but we think there's a good bit in this group still.
With that being said, like, you have a clear pathway now. Wexford, a league final against whoever it will be, and then suddenly you're looking at Waterford.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's all big games now, but that's why our lads train. That's why they want to be involved at this level, and we're looking forward to it.
Just if I can mention, Brian, because we haven't got a chance to speak with you about this, a guy we just saw coming out of the dressing room, he was shooting over points at half time in Newbridge. I thought he was coming on. Getting a man of the calibre of Tony Griffin involved in this group and what he'd bring to it.
Yeah, sure. Look, Tony is a brilliant guy, really positive guy to be around the setup. It's something that we're trying this year, and we don't know exactly how it's going to go. But he's got great character and great ambition for the group, and he wants to be involved in it, and we want to have him involved, and look, we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. You mentioned there big games, and you love home games. We know that. You're very proud of our home record. Big one to come now against Wexford, as you said.
Yeah, look, it's really something to look forward to, and we'll take it on as best we can.
Job done. We've come through the league so far brilliantly. We've got good results along the way, and we're building a nice step now going into Championship too. And
that momentum as well. I know we spoke at Antrim, and it was starting off with a really good win that day as well, and you've kept that going.
Yeah, it is 1B. Maybe it can be a bit difficult to gauge where exactly we're at, but training's going really well. We're getting results on the pitch, and we definitely still have loads to work on too. There's aspects of our game tonight now that we won't be overly impressed with, but again, something to go after during the week.
Yeah, but definitely you can see that style of play, that decision making the right decision with the ball.
That is what we're trying to do. We're always trying to free up the man in the best position to use the ball properly, and when we're doing that, we're a good side.
And another good tally put up tonight, 128 on a wet enough evening is fair shooting.
Yeah, and I think it'd be fair to say we left some scores on the board as well. So again, something to go after.
From your own point of view, these threes are going quite well.
Yeah, but it's only the league so far. There'll be bigger tests down the line.
Now to have a Division 1B final, a game against Wexford at home, we know how much Brian values home victories, like big games ahead.
Definitely, and it's something to be excited about. It's something for Clare supporters to look forward to. Again, we had fantastic support again tonight. I know we're sick of mentioning them, but it's brilliant. We love to see it. And we're looking forward to next weekend and a league final after that, and Championship just around the corner. And
you mentioned that panel depth, like some big names out tonight, some great city likes of Sean Rinn coming back, Aidan Fall coming in, so there's a lot of competition for places out there.
It is, it's great to see. Training is brilliant and everything, but getting out on the pitch and performing and playing as a team, that's exactly where you want to be. It's what you want to be doing, there'll be big tests coming down the line, and we're hopefully all those lads that have got an opportunity so far will be able for it, and we'll be ready for it, and when I'm sure they will, and when that chance comes, we have to be ready. We know what we did last year wasn't good enough, and it won't be good enough this year, so when we do get our opportunity, we have to be ready.
Mark Rogers and Brian Lohan there after Clare's win over Carlow in Dr. Cullen Park. Well, it was also a positive weekend for the Clare senior camogie side as they produced a dramatic finish to overcome Limerick and move within touching distance of the Division 1B final. The win came courtesy of an incredible late Lorna McNamara goal as she lofted the ball over the Limerick goalkeeper before it nestled into the corner of the net to give Eugene Foodie's side a 3-8 to 2-8 victory. After the game, Lorna spoke to Clare FM's Derek Dormer about why she decided to go for broke.
I was just thinking that he's probably going to let them play on and they'd have a chance of a point. So I was thinking of the point, but I just said I'd go for the goal then.
And the composure to lob the keeper, I mean, it was spectacular.
Yeah, I don't know, all that was going through my mind was the penalty I blazed wide, so I'm glad I made up for that anyways.
Look, massive win. I mean, second win out of 3 games, but away from home. Limerick were unbeaten, and it really does set you up for a good tilt at this National League now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and that's the target from the get-go really, to be top of the table and into league final. Hopefully make it up to Division 1A then for next year. But yeah, no, again, just take it game by game. We've 2 weeks break now until down, I think it is, so yeah, we've a tough week of training ahead of us, I'd say anyways.
And you can look from the results, you can see Down overturned Dublin. There's no easy game in this division, is there?
No, there isn't. Like, everyone's fit and strong. The last 3 games, 3 weeks in a row have been tough, and obviously pitches as well play a part in that too. So yeah, get recovery in now tomorrow and get going again for the next game.
And 3 weeks, you said 3 games, 3 weeks, 3 games on the spin, time for a break now. Will it be recovery or will there be an old visit to, we'll say, a watering premises maybe somewhere?
Yeah, we'll do a bit of both anyways, for sure, yeah.
It was well deserved.
Yeah, definitely, I think, yeah, we've pulled it out of the bag there in the end, so happy with that.
And for yourself, finally, like, to be back from all those injuries and back in the saffron and blue, that must be a proud moment for you.
Yeah, I know it is. My first game back against Dublin, I think, was my first game back in 2 years for Clare. So, yeah, definitely really, really happy to be back and such a relief. Not playing in pain or any injuries like that. So, yeah.
And you're eyeing up a National League medal, aren't you?
We will be, yeah, but we'll take it game by game for now.
Lorna McNamara there speaking with Clare FM's Derek Dormer after their win over Limerick, and we will talk more about the campaign so far in a rounded sense for Clare on Friday evening's Sideline View. More to come here this evening though, do stay tuned. Andrew, welcome back to Sideline View Review here on Clare FM. Well, the Clare Ladies footballers continued their winning ways as they say off the challenge of Limerick to make a back-to-back victories in the National League with a 112-1-8 victory. Clare boss Graham Shine was understandably relieved to have eased their relegation worries as he spoke to Clare FM's Derek Dormer.
Coming down 8 altogether as a wounded animal is an old dangerous thing, and we knew Limerick were going to throw the kitchen sink at us, and believe it or not, it's our first time on grass too, because we played in Antrim above, but that was more mud than grass, but this is our first time on grass as well, and we knew it was going to be a battle, but again, third, fourth quarter again, the subs came on again, introduced, and look, we're delighted to get the win. The first few rounds we knew it was coming, and it's great now that we can go into the 3-week break with 2 wins.
There seems to be, and I'm not trying to be critical, it's actually a compliment, there seems to be more structure. The restart seemed much better, and the handling of the ball, the basic errors seem to have been cut out, which does tend to lead to positive results.
100%, but like I said at the start, we were in the gym November, December, and we hit the pitch the 4th of January, believe it or not. That's our first time, so we've tried to walk through the league, and we thought we'd get off to a better start, and we targeted a few games, and they didn't work out, and now it's coming to the fore, now the work that we've done, and we're looking forward now to the 3-week block that we can put in more work again and get a bit sharper again now for the Fermanagh game, and it's great now to hit the Fermanagh if we get the win there, we're safe and stuff.
And you can't coach or you can't beat a moment of quality. Tara Gagan gets a beautiful goal for Limerick, sticks into the bottom corner. Sinead Constantine's fouled here, but Chloe Maloney shows ingenuity, gathers the ball, the solo and goal, and pings it off the left leg into the top corner, and for me, it was the turning moment of the game.
100%, because like you saw there, they were getting belief, and it was their first time going in at half time this year up, and they usually here today now the wind is brutal. But yeah, look, Chloe gets moments of magic like that, and we really needed it. And once that went in, then we were able to press the kick out a bit more, and we were a bit more confident at the back. And we could see the conditions. I suppose we could have put another 4 or 5 on the board, but look, just happy to get the win. It's all about getting results, isn't it? And that you can go into training again now Wednesday night, and there's a buzz at training. And that's what it's all about.
And look, 2 wins now, as we say, that's like kind of, put relegation onto the back burner, and now it's just looking upwards and getting ready for the championship.
Yeah, and it's great to get the young girls on there today, and I think we've used every girl now in the panel that's available to play through the league, so that's great as well. And as I said, everything is going well now at the moment, and it's just knuckle down now for the next 3 weeks, work on what we didn't do right today, but look, today was about getting the win. I knew the conditions coming up here this morning was very poor conditions, just about getting the win.
Last week when I spoke to you, you were elated, and rightly so, after the Laois performance. Today, if you don't mind me saying, it's a much calmer Graham Shine, much more you know, you knew what you had to do when you got the job done.
Yeah, no, my life is football. Like I'm 20 years now. I'm probably 13 years as an inter-county manager, and my life is football. And those losses, you don't sleep at night, and you're putting 30, 40 hours a week into it. And I leave home every day at 5 o'clock. I don't get home till 11:15 at night when I'm with the girls. And I was under fierce pressure, and I was under pressure for them because they work so hard and they give me everything, and the attitude of them is just unbelievable. And it was just bad moments in games, and thanks be to God now the pressure's off a little bit.
Clare Ladies football boss Graham Shine there. That's after their win over Limerick in the National League. Now, next up here on our Sideline View review show is a look back over the local soccer action from the weekend, and unfortunately weather would make sure it was a compact enough event calendar that was on for a finish. Jim Madden with us to look back over some of the games, Jim, that did go ahead. We'll deal with those first.
Yes, indeed, Derek. There was quite a number of cup matches went ahead. Newmarket Celtic A and B were both playing. The A team beat Shannon Town by 2-1. There is no doubt that Shannon Town are improving a bit, but Newmarket still know how to win, and that's what they've done here. Tulla United then had an easy enough win over Hermitage by 5-2, and there's no doubt that Tulla are on track again to have a seriously good season like they did last season. Bridge Celtic then were beaten down in Bridgetown by Shannon Hibs by 3-0. Hibs really are working very hard on getting promoted to the Premier. They have a lot of work done at their facilities in Shannon, and I think they'll make a good addition to the Premier. Hopefully they'll make it as an automatic choice there. And they're also still in the Cup, as we said as well. In the second round of the Cup then, Bridge Newmarket B beat Shannon Olympic by 1-0. That game was switched from Shannon to Newmarket. And it just shows you how good the pitch is at Newmarket that they were able to have 2 games over the weekend. So both Newmarket teams are in the last 16, I would think. It would have been the 16th after the third round. It probably is. The Kilrush Rangers then in the Premier League were beaten 5-0 by Bridge United. How Bridge would have liked to have been able to get 5 goals against Aisling and Acotty in the Munster Junior quarter-final last weekend. Where they were beaten in extra time. But it just shows you that they still have their eye firmly fixed on the Premier League title. They're a bit off the pace at the minute, but as long as they keep winning, they'll always be a threat. In the first division then, Newmarket B's game was in the first division where they beat Shannon Olympic by 1-0. They really do top the table there. And Bunratty and Mount Shannon drew 2-2 also in the first division. And in the third division then, Callan United, who are struggling a bit at the minute, Derek, they were beaten 2-1 by Avenue C. And in the Youths Premier, Avenue United 4, Bunratty 1. So quite a number of games. That's about 9 games altogether, and everybody would be happy enough with that.
Absolutely. Let's just go back over one or two of them, just getting some details on them. And the certainly that Newmarket Celtic Shannon Town game, Darragh Leahy popping up with the 2 goals there, and I see Owen Hayes mentioned as well as a contributor towards one of them. I mean, you're talking about real established experience for all the new blood that they've brought through. The likes of your FAI winners in Leahy and Hayes, they're still leading the way.
They are indeed, and I mean Newmarket to me have that ability not to lose. They can be under the cosh for quite a bit. They can soak up pressure because defensively they are still very, very strong. And Darragh Leahy really is in serious form at the moment. And as you said there, he has scored some important goals for them recently and getting the 2 goals there. So, a big win for Newmarket. And there's no doubt that as the season goes on, they will only get better.
And you mentioned Tulla United going well as well, 5 goals in their game, 2 of them coming from Dara Corrie. I see Dan Whitacombe was on the target as well, but you talk about club stalwarts and Dara Corrie, his influence, his experience on that Tulla United team.
Yes, indeed. And the fact that they've switched him to up front, because I would always have rated Dara as a seriously good centre half, and he won an Oscar Traynor medal some years back at centre half as well. And now to be playing up front. Now, there's no doubt with his size, his pace and his strength, he really does make life difficult for any centre half.
Then the Shannon Hibs game, Jim, a man that's very synonymous with Shannon Hibs, Darren Lindsay, a hat-trick there for him as well. A club that are doing an awful lot of good work, as you mentioned.
Yes, indeed. They have a very good facilities there in Shannon. They have enough for 2 pitches, and they're working at the minute, and they have a bit of funding to put in an AstroTurf. Now, what size it's going to be, I have no idea, and I have no idea where they are with regard to planning permission and all of that. But there's still a good few stalwarts still left in that club as well at the committee level, and they seem to have got a new lease of life. So great to see that happening in Shannon.
Absolutely. I know it's a big weekend next week with FAI Junior Games. We'll preview those on Friday evening's show, but just to give people an idea as to how their Premier League table is looking at the moment, Avenue sitting top. They've played 11 games, 28 points, and then all 3 chasing pack have just the 1 game in hand on them. Newmarket with 26 points, Tulla with 25, Bridge United with 24. But interestingly here, when we look at the scoring difference column, Newmarket with plus 28, Tulla with plus 27 and Bridge with plus 29. Now look at Avenue, that's plus 22. Bit of a difference there in those, but it just shows the top 4 are scoring heavy.
Yes, indeed, and there's no doubt when you look at it and have, I suppose, a bit of an analysis of the top 4, they really are the top clubs in Clare at the minute by a long stretch. They're organised, their training is well organised, they have a serious coaching and management at them as well, and they're all ambitious to do well outside the county as well, which I think is a great thing. But the thing that I find a little bit worrying is the gap between the top 4 and the next team, which is Shannon Town, is getting wider really. So that isn't good for the long-term future of maybe the Premier League. There are talks about maybe reducing the league to 8 teams. I'm not sure whether that's the right way to go, or should we try and stick with 10. But maybe we should insist on a better criteria to be in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's a discussion for further down the line, no doubt about that. But for now, Jim, thanks for that.
Thanks, Derek, and it's just a great idea. I must say I appreciate the running through the results, because maybe a lot of people don't always get them.
Fantastic stuff. Mark it into a weekly slot in the calendar, Jim. We will be back to you.
Okay, thanks, Derek.
Now, on Sideline View last Friday evening, we looked ahead to what was going to be a very, very busy weekend of action for Clare handballers in national action. Delighted to have Orla Constantine with us to wrap up how things went across a busy couple of days, Orla.
Yeah, it was 2 very busy, long days in Croke Park in the National Handball Centre, but I suppose everybody went home feeling maybe a little bit lighter with some good success over the weekend. After competing in 8 All-Ireland semi-finals, we went home with 6 wins, so that was a great return after the weekend.
Take us through who's going forward then.
Yeah, so on Sunday we had the adults playing, and there was wins there for the 2 minor players, for Clare Minogue and for Sean Considine, both defeating Tyrone opposition in 2 straight games. And later in the day then Tony Layden won his Junior B semi-final, and Shawnee Doyle went to a tie-break down to the wire really, with only 3 points between him and a tie-break in the last game of the day junior. So that sent all the Clare players and supporters home on Sunday in great form, and that was following the success of Shane Walsh in his Masters B and Jim Cleary in his Golden Masters on Saturday. I suppose Mike Baker would have been a bit disappointed to lose in a tiebreak 11-9, so that was a very long game on Saturday, and Mike Cooney had lost as well in 2 straight games. And I suppose to top that off then, Diarmuid Nash had a tiebreak win again in his senior All-Ireland quarter-final against Michael Hedigan of Cork. So he is through to the semi-finals, which will be on this Saturday in Croke Park, along with the juvenile games. So he has his All-Ireland semi-final against Peter Function of Kilkenny.
Fantastic stuff. It seems drama and tie-breaks were the order of the weekend.
Yeah, games to 21 can be a long game, and when it's a game apiece, then going into a tie break, it's, I suppose, fitness, that mental determination, because at that stage it's nearly skills are out the window, because it's who will have the capacity to overcome the fitness and the mental resolve to keep it together, to pull off the shots when there's no room for error in a game that's just to 11. So a good start and toughness is definitely needed there.
Certainly is, and as you mentioned, a busy weekend coming up next week. We'll preview that more maybe on Friday evening, but just to give us a flavour, it's certainly not going to be a quiet one.
No, it's not. The juveniles are very busy getting ready now. There's 18 juveniles taking part, representing Clare and Munster at the weekend. They're out of 5 different clubs, and we're taking part in 11 of the 16 grades at semi-final level. So that's a great representation of both boys and girls in singles and doubles, and they're continuing their preparations and games and training during the week. So they'll be representing Munster versus Ulster playing on Saturday. The other semi-finals are Connacht versus Leinster also on Saturday, and whoever is successful will meet in the finals on Sunday, all in Croke Park.
Lovely stuff. We'll get more details of those later in the week. But for now, Orla, thanks so much for that.
Great. Thanks very much.
That brings us to the end of this first Sideline View review here on Clare FM. As the season builds up, we will no doubt have plenty more talking points to get through, and we would love your input on those. You can find us on social media or email sport@clare.fm if there's something you feel you'd like to raise and have our lads analyse. The West Wind is up next here on Clare FM. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening.